back to Moby's Kitchen, and today we're gonna be making some meatloaf. Now here's the ingredients that you need. Obviously you're gonna need some, we've got a pound of ground pork here. We have a pound of ground beef. Now this is 90-10. I really kind of prefer the 85-15 or even the 80-20 for this because it adds a little more fat content for juice, but this is what we had, so we're gonna go with it. We've got some pecorino romano, the real stuff. We have an egg. We have Worcestershire sauce. I know everyone has a different way of pronouncing that, called W sauce. Garlic powder, ketchup, Italian breadcrumbs, kosher salt, black pepper, coarse ground. We've got yellow onion, couple cloves of garlic, paprika, oregano, and dried parsley. So we're gonna get this into the bowl here in a minute, and I'll show you what we do and how much we put of each thing. All right, we're gonna start by finely mincing 2 garlic cloves. Nobody loves chopping garlic, me included. One of my least favorite things to chop. I start usually by doing that, and I come across and keep going. Okay. And then once I get it to about here, I just kind of keep going. I like this finely chopped. You don't want like a big chunk of garlic in your mouth when you're eating the meatloaf. So as fine as you can get this. You could use one of those little garlic mincers too if you'd like. I just like to do it this way. All right, so there's 1 clove minced up pretty good there. And I'll do the other one. We'll get right back with you. Okay, so now we're gonna dice up our onion. Also, we're gonna dice this as fine as we can get it. So here's how I do it. So on the root end, you want to keep this intact because it kind of holds everything together. This is the side with all the little furry pieces. So you start by cutting just a little piece off there to give it a nice flat edge. Then you cut right in the middle of this root. Just come down like that. And then you simply peel your outer layer off. Even if the whole outer layer comes off, that's totally fine. Whatever you want to do to make it easy on yourself. So we can sacrifice that outer layer of onion, no big deal. Okay. You do the same thing with the other side. And then we'll move all this stuff out of the way here. Okay, and then we're gonna take our knife. You're gonna do as fine diced as you want it. You're not gonna cut all the way to the back. You're gonna cut about 80%, 90% through. And since we want a fine dice, just take your time. I'm gonna put my cuts real close together. As you can see, we're not cutting all the way through to the root side. All right. Some people like to do this, and it's really not super necessary, but we'll do it for fun. And then you just also just kind of hold it together with these 2 fingers on the side. And you just dice it as thin as you want it. So we want a nice thin dice with this. We're probably only gonna use, it's a small yellow onion. We're probably only gonna use like half of this, so. There we go, you get rid of this part. As you can see, we've got a nice finely diced onion here, so this is perfect. All right, we'll be right back with you. Okay, so we've got our ground beef and our ground pork in the bowl. We've got our finely minced 2 garlic cloves. We've got our half of a small onion. If you have a big onion, do like a quarter. That's gonna go in like that. Then we've got a cup of the Italian breadcrumbs. Those are going in. We're gonna add 1 egg. Then I'm gonna touch the egg. I'll wash my hands real quick. All right. We're gonna add probably about a quarter to a half a cup of grated pecorino romano, my favorite cheese. And this is the real stuff. This one's from Costco. I like to buy it there. It comes in a huge wedge there, and it's from Italy. So we're gonna do that. This adds like some nice oil to the mix. Helps keep it nice and moist. Okay, so we got about a quarter to a half a cup of that. Then we're gonna do about 3 or 4 dashes of the Worcestershire here. So that was the end of that bottle. So that's probably about the right amount there. You could add a little more, but for sake of video, that's what we're gonna do, about 3 to 4 dashes. And then I'm gonna add a little, maybe 1/8 of a cup of ketchup for a little bit of flavor. And then let me get some of these. Actually, you know, let's just keep going, Bobby. Why not? We've got our oregano, dried oregano. This is how I usually make it. I usually don't measure this out, so I'm going to give you approximates here. So we're going to do about a tablespoon of oregano. About a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of garlic powder. I'm going to do about a tablespoon of the dried parsley. We're going to do about a tablespoon of black pepper. And we're going to do about a tablespoon of kosher salt. All right. Then make sure your hands are clean, or you can put gloves on. I think for the sake of this video, I'm gonna stop here, put gloves on, and then I'll show myself mixing this up here. Okay, now we're gonna mix this all up. So the best way to do it is just get in there with your best cooking utensils, your hands. Get everything well incorporated. You wanna spend some time doing this, make sure everything's evenly incorporated together. You want a nice mix of the pork and the beef. I love meatloaf. It's just one of those good comfort foods, especially on a nice cool night. Goes really good with potatoes, mashed potatoes, and tonight we're gonna make smashed potatoes, which we're gonna film that too, so you'll see that recipe. If it's not already up, you'll see it in a future video. So just make sure everything's incorporated, and we'll be right back with you when we get it in the meatloaf pan, or we use a Pyrex meatloaf dish actually. So okay, so I've got all of the meat and all the seasonings mixed together here, as you can see, and I kind of shaped it in the form of the meatloaf dish that we're going to be putting this in. So we're going to grab it out of the bowl here. You don't need to pre-oil this dish at all because there's fat in this. It'll come out nicely once it's cooked. So what you're going to want to do is put it in here. This is a Pyrex dish, and it's approximately 9 by 5 1/4, and I think it's about 3 inches deep. I mean, you can kind of tell. It looks kind of like a meatloaf. This is the only thing I use it for. And then you're going to want to get your oven preheated to 350 degrees. So you can get that going earlier if you'd like. And if you're going to be making this meatloaf like the next day or later, you can put it in the fridge, cover it and put it in the fridge, and it's ready to go. And all you got to do is pop it in the oven. It takes about an hour to cook. You want to cook it till the internals, probably around 160 is what they recommend. I say you could probably take it out at 155 and let it rest. So you don't want to mess with it too much once you get it in here. Sometimes those little air pockets are what create some nice flavor. So I would leave it about just like that. And I'll be right back with you. Let me get these gloves off and I'll show you what I put on the top here. Okay, so this is where the paprika is going to come into play. This is mostly just for color. You just kind of sprinkle it on top here. Gives it a nice color, nice coat until it's completely coated on the top. And we do ketchup in our house as a topping, but you could do barbecue sauce, you could do honey, you could do whatever you want on the top. Heinz 57 also goes good with it. But what I do is I just take the squeeze bottle of ketchup here, and we start going like this, and I just kind of zigzag back and forth. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're gonna cut it all up and serve it. You could spread this out. You can do whatever kind of design you want. And then what I do is I come this way as well. Kind of a little cross pattern here. And this gets nice and like crispy and delicious, and it caramelizes in the oven. It's so good. And there you have it. That's ready to go in the oven. And 350 degrees. We're gonna pop it in there and I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. Okay, I've got my oven mitts on, so that means our meatloaf is ready. I put a meter thermometer in there, and if you don't have one of those, they're super handy. So it's a Bluetooth thermometer, and it hit what I wanted it to hit. It hit about 145 internal. We're gonna take it out, it'll rest, it'll go another 5 to 10 degrees as it rests. We're gonna let it rest for about 20 minutes. So it says that we've hit our temperature of 145. We're probably about 146 now. As you can see the meter thermometer sticking out of there. You can always test it with a regular thermometer there, but look how beautiful that is. The ketchup caramelized on there. That's ready to go. Now the key here is to let this rest for at least 15 minutes. I'm gonna say 20 minutes if you can hold off before serving it. Okay, so our meatloaf has been resting for about 20 minutes. And it's amazing. It's come up by like 10, maybe even 15 degrees in temperature. So that's why I say take it out when it's about 140, 145 and let it rest because it will keep cooking. You don't want to dry it out too much. So here's how I like to get it out. I take 2 spatulas, go down either side. You gotta be very careful. You kind of pinch it together like that. See how it's I'm squeezing together, not too much. Go very slowly, get it out onto your cutting board. And what we're gonna do, we'll cut into it here. So let's start cutting chunks. You can cut these as thick or as thin as you want. We'll start on the edge. You can see juice just already coming out of it. I wanna get to that middle. See the juice coming out of that? See that? What I'm gonna do here is cut a little piece off. I want a top piece with a little bit of the ketchup on it. I'm gonna give it a shot. I mean, that is comfort food at its best. It's so good. It's juicy. That's even made with the 90-10 meat and it's still juicy. Imagine you do the 85-15 or even the 80-20. You've still got juice galore coming out of that. So it's juicy, it's delicious. You can taste all those seasonings. That caramelized ketchup just makes it. You can put this on a plate with mashed potatoes, some red potatoes. You could do the zucchini, the green beans. It goes good with anything. A nice salad on the side. And you can even put a little extra ketchup there, or Heinz 57, or barbecue sauce, whatever you like to dip it in, if you want to add a little bit of dipping sauce there. So once again, thanks for stopping by. Please like and subscribe. Make this meatloaf at home. As you saw, it's really easy. Your family's gonna love it. It feeds a lot of people, as you can see. I mean, that's just 4 slices right there. So make it at home, and thanks again.